times have you been told to stand up straight? Probably many, but has anybody ever actually shown you how to stand up straight? It's way more than just jamming your shoulders back. So let's for a moment take a look at what good posture, good alignment really is. And when you're standing from a side view, your ear, your shoulder, your hip, your knee, and your ankle should be in a straight line. Because when your body lines up like that, it means the S-shaped curve of your spine is right along your body center of gravity. And that's hugely important for two reasons. One is it means that there's no uneven pressure along your spine. The second most important reason is that no one muscle group has to work harder than another. My 1 minute to better posture is a step-by-step guide to align all of the joints in your body, and it will have you standing straighter instantly. So let's try it. What I want you to do is stand with your feet about hip width apart. So that's about 6 to 8 inches. And I want you to look down at your feet, and I want you to see if they're pointing fairly straight ahead, because they should be. It would be okay if both of your feet are pointing out just a little bit, but the thing to watch out for is if one foot really turns out way more than the other, because that would indicate an imbalance in your hip rotators. So for right now, what I want you to do is take your feet and get them fairly straight. Next thing I want you to do is key into your knees. And a lot of us tend to stand, boom, with our knees locked back. You'll know that that's you if as you're standing here right now, your weight is basically on your heels. What we tend to do is we lock our knees back. And why we do that is when you shift your legs back like that, you're basically resting on the ligaments in the back of your knees. And those 4 big quad muscles in the front of your thighs just get to hang there. They don't have to work. And so we kind of like that. But standing with your knees locked back causes a huge amount of posture problems. One is the way that your thigh bone kind of fits into your hip socket. When you press your legs back like that, it tips your pelvis forward, it makes your belly stick out more than it really needs to, and it puts way too much pressure on the joints in the small of your back. So what I'd like for you to do is whenever you catch yourself with your knees locked back, I want you just to wiggle them a little bit, just to get them out of that locked position. You can also kind of shift your weight from front to back of your foot, but ultimately you want to get the weight of your body over all of your foot. So you don't want to stand with your knees bent. That would just be flat out odd. And you don't want to stand with your knees locked back because that damages the small of your back as well as causes some damage to your kneecaps. So you want a nice neutral position. Good. Next thing I want you to do is focus on your abdominals. And I'd like for you to take in a breath. And when you inhale, I want you to exhale through your mouth. And as you're exhaling, I want you to suck your belly button towards your back. And every time you do that, whenever you exhale and pull your abdominal muscles in, your belly button towards your back, you end up contracting your abdominals. And what that does from a side view is when you contract those abdominals, it pulls your pelvis into a neutral position. So it takes all the pressure off the joints in the small of your back. And in fact, if you're somebody who, after standing on your feet for a while, you start to get that pressure in the small of your back, whenever you pull your abdominal muscles in, you stretch the small of your back and you take immediate pressure off of those joints. All right? Next part, and I think this is the most important part to this whole posture alignment stuff, and that is most of us tend to stand and sit with our rib cage. We just let it all drop forward. Whether it's because you work at a desk or you lean over children all day long, it's a pretty common posture problem that causes a lot of problems. First of all, when you let your rib cage drop down like that, your insides have nowhere to go but down and out. So it actually makes your midsection wider than it really is, and it makes your stomach stick out more than it really needs to. But the other thing is when that rib cage droops forward, it juts your head way forward of your shoulders. And remember what I said, that good alignment from a side view, your ear and your shoulder should be in straight line. And so here's how to fix that. Everybody has a sternum, a breastbone, and what I'd like for you to do is whenever you realize your rib cage is slumping, I want you to shift it up just a bit. Not so much that you feel like you're knocking yourself off balance, but basically you're just taking your rib cage from a drooped position and just shifting it up to where it needs to be. And that changes a huge amount about your posture. Whenever you shift this rib cage up, it changes dramatically what's going on in your neck. And so by lifting your rib cage, you begin to take out too much curve in your upper back. So you can stop that rounding over that tends to occur as we age. But I think maybe even more importantly, when you get that rib cage in a good position, it gets your head back closer to your body's center of gravity. And you take immediate pressure off the muscles in your neck that tend to be way overworked. All right? So far, we have your feet about hip width apart. You're going to make sure your knees are not locked back. You're going to inhale. When you exhale, pull your belly button towards your back. Not so much that you can't breathe anymore, but you just want to pull those abdominal muscles in just to support the content here. Next thing is you shift your rib cage up just a bit. All right? And the last part of this alignment thing is I want you to let your arms hang by your sides. And a lot of people, if your head tends to hang too far forward, your shoulders also tend to be too rounded. It just kind of goes hand in hand. So a little test to see if your shoulders tend to be rounded is I want you to lift your rib cage up. Just let your arms hang naturally by your side. And I want you to notice two things about your hands. Where are they? Do you tend to hold your hands in the front of your thighs? Because if you do, that means, you're too rounded. Do your thumbs tend to point in towards your thighs? Because again, if your hands turn in this way, it generally indicates that your shoulders are too rounded. And if anyone has ever said to you, straighten up, what people tend to do is, just jam their shoulders back, which looks bad, looks odd, and really does nothing but put more tension in your neck muscles. There's a very simple way to realign all the joints in your shoulders because you have several joints there. And it's very simple. All you need to do is first make sure your rib cage is lifted because it just won't work as well from this position. So lift your rib cage up and then you take your arms and I want you to rotate them externally. It's so simple. You just roll your arms out. And as you do that, you should feel your shoulders kind of open up and lay flatter. Then what I want you to do is push your shoulders down and then let your arms relax. And what you should notice is that your palms end up facing your thighs and your thumbs end up pointing straight ahead. And that is the anatomically correct position when your arms are hanging by your sides. Your palms should be facing your thighs and your thumbs should be pointing forward. And if that's not happening, usually this kind of thing is. So 4 things that will instantly align your posture. Make sure your knees are not locked back. Pull your abdominal muscles in just a bit. Lift your rib cage up. And then to finish it off, take your arms, roll them out, press your shoulders down, and then let the arms relax. And if your palms end up facing your thighs, you know you've done it right. And you probably have all found that you can do this really well. Everybody can line up like this. But the problem becomes, as soon as your mind wanders, your body will just fall back to its old position. So that's where the exercises become so important. All of the exercises that we're going to do are designed to strengthen the muscles that support good posture.